Right. Okay, and the best possible atmosphere is to just like immerse yourself in nothing but the mantra, right? Not while doing something else, while washing the dishes, or
yeah, just the mantra.
Okay.
You know, now after you've done your regulated chanting, if you want to do other things and chant at the same time, like take a walk, or like you say, do the dishes, or driving, or whatever, that's cool. But at least for the time that you are doing your sadhana in the morning, you should exclusively focus on the holy name.
Yourself in the mantra.
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, when we were in the temple, if you ever play Prabhupada's chanting tape, there's a place where he says, "Sit properly." Very strictly like that, And what he meant was, you should sit on the floor on a pillow, in some kind of yoga posture, with the back straight, and holding the beads before your heart, at the heart chakra, like that, and eyes closed, focused completely on hearing and chanting.
What is it, what's good to visualize?
To visualize Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes. If you can't concentrate on that, Prabhupada said you should think about your service, think about your engagement or your plans, what you're going to do in spiritual life. For example, let's say you're chanting and you're thinking about your portfolio. He's a stockbroker, by the way. Do you manage a fund, or have you?
Well, I do research. I don't trade.
Oh, I see. Okay. But let's, because you're using part of your income for spiritual service, you can consider that, that's part of your service, right? So, Krishna will give you advice. You'll be amazed. He'll be chanting, and he'll be telling you, Google's a really good bet this week, He will, and you'll see he's right, God will start to talk with you. Gradually, He will reveal Himself through the heart, through hearing. Remember, purification begins from the tongue. So by chanting, by taking pure food, by always speaking the truth, by always speaking kindly and with compassion, then we gradually purify the tongue. And when God becomes ready to reveal Himself, He will reveal through that taste. And so then the next thing is hearing. By hearing the holy name, by hearing the truth, reading the scriptures, and hearing like that, we'll gradually come to relish the taste of truth. And we'll start to hear. And when we start to hear God's advice through the heart, we'll recognize that taste. And that's how we tell God's voice apart from all the different voices of our mind and our different influences that are there, impulses, the senses, emotions, and stuff like that. Because we first relish that taste through the tongue, through the pure holy name. That's the secret to yogic purification. And it's like, if somebody who knew didn't tell you, you would never guess, you'd never figure it out. It's an esoteric secret. It's only available through an esoteric school. So, what are these guys talking about? Huh? What are you guys talking about? Oh, the Prabhupada Japa tape. Yeah, it's there. It's on our esoteric-teaching.org/content/mp3/SP Classic. And there's also a website called Sit Properly, sitproperly.com. Check it out one of these days. It's all about chanting japa and, how to do like that. Any questions from the internet, guys? Any questions from anybody? Yeah?
The morning mantras, do you think it's more beneficial to sit and do it by yourself or do it with a partner?
Oh, if you have other people doing the same practice, it's very beneficial. Florian has a question. What does sun in first house signify? Well, that's probably one of the best placements for the sun, because the sun is life, vitality, health. It's also ego, and like that. And when the sun is in the first house, then that means that the sun, that you're healthy, you're confident, you shine. You know, the first house is the self, the person himself, but especially the physical body and mind. Oh boy. Who's asking that? Wait a minute. Steve. Yeah, Steve, we're going to have to go over temporary benefics. I'm sorry. Parashara really threw me a curveball, and the whole first 46 chapters of BPHS, he only talks about natural benefics, and then all of a sudden in chapter 47, he starts talking about temporary benefics. Threw me for a loop, man, I tell you. But you know what? It really helps to explain those people who seem to have moksha karka but aren't able to do anything about it. So I've been, you know, that's why I kind of held up work on liberated souls, was because all this new information, I had to integrate it. You know, I had to look at some charts and see if it really explains some of the phenomena that we've observed, and it does. You know, like in some of these cases where people have moksha karka, but they can't do anything about it, it's explained by the fact that a planet becomes a temporary malefic. Okay, so Uddhava is asking, what happens when in the scripture it is said, I give you spiritual vision by a great yogi or by Krishna to Arjuna, etc.? Well, every spiritual master wants to give their disciples spiritual vision. They want their disciple to be able to see according to the scriptures or according to God's vision. Well, what does that mean? It means that we have the same values. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden we can look through walls, you know? Spiritual vision means we still see the same thing with our eyes, but in our heart or in our mind, we have different values. We have spiritual values instead of material values. So spiritual vision means to see through the eyes of the scripture, or to see through the eyes of God, to see things or interpret things, or to value things the way that God would value them. There's a phrase in Sanskrit, Shastra Chakshus. The Shastra Chakshus means to see with the eyes of the scripture. So when we see everything that happens through the philosophy of the esoteric teaching, then we evaluate it according to that ontology, and we come to the same conclusions that the scripture would come to in that particular situation. That's seeing with spiritual vision. And every guru wants to give that to their disciple. Every teacher wants their students to get that. Okay, now who's this asking? Florian, does Kundalini Yoga help attain self-realization? Because you once mentioned that we need a lot of prana to make the jump to self-realization. Well, Kundalini Yoga can help us attain Brahman realization, and even to a certain extent Paramatma realization. But Kundalini Yoga, like any kind of yoga based on the body, tends to make us hard-hearted because it's focused on oneself. Only Bhakti Yoga, which is based on love, is based on service to others. So Bhakti Yoga softens the heart, and it develops compassion and qualities of loving kindness. All the other different kinds of yoga are basically about me, me, me. Me, I, mine, like that. But Bhakti Yoga is about service to God, service to others. So in that way, yeah, but Krishna, he's so funny. But Krishna wants that, huh? Especially at the stage when you become determined to attain realization. It's like all the service that you've done for the past year has given you a desire to attain. Isn't that a fact? Uddhava? Uddhava. Right. So that's stated in the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah, extreme desire. He can hardly, he's like jumping out of his skin, you should say. Yeah. There's a madman down the street that like screams, oxygen, hydrogen. Yeah. Oh, this is all, I can tell this is going to be a joke now in our school. But anyway,